What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam. This is Vancity Audi. We're back at Rider Performance with the RS3 for the second modification for the 2022 race season. You might be asking yourself why I'm doing this specific modification once I unveil it to you guys, but don't worry, I will give you a thorough explanation. I am going to be replacing my East Coast Euro track Dogbone mount with a Unitronic brand new Dogbone street mount. I've been given the opportunity from Unitronic to review their street mount, give you guys my feedback, my impression on how it drives. Yes, I do realize that this is now a single-purpose drag car. It is extremely stiff. There is a ton of NVH, but they've given me the opportunity to review the street one to let you guys know my impressions on it and my thoughts. Currently, I use the East Coast Euro mount. Previous to that, I was using the 034 Motorsport mount, and I'm not trying to bash anybody, I'm just being honest. It was poo in so many ways. I originally used that mount at a stock turbo power level, a stage 2 power level. That's before they made that little insert that you put in there, that extra metal piece, and it bent. They then sent me that extra metal piece. I bent that too. So I didn't recommend that one. I don't encourage people to use it. I think even at a stage 2 stock turbo power level, you need something more reinforced than that. A lot of people ended up using the East Coast Euro mounts, including myself. But I have OCD at heart, and I have a lot of Unitronic parts on the car. I was given the opportunity, so I said, why not? The racing season doesn't start still for a few more months, so we're going to be putting on the Unitronic street mount today. I'm gonna do some driving, see what it feels like, give you guys my impressions, and in a few months' time when they release their race mount, we'll then swap over to that so I have something more aggressive and more race prepped. So I'll get to showing you the mount right now, and then we'll give it to Kyle for the install. And here's the extent of what you get with the Unitronic Dogbone mount. A little different color pattern than I'm used to seeing with Unitronic parts. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Pittsburgh Penguins going on with the yellow and black. Usually you get red and white from Unitronic. But these are all the parts, the plastic pieces, the tops and the bottoms, I assume, the polyurethane bushings. I'm not 100% sure on the durometer of these. I suspect they're probably a bit softer than the ECE, but only time will tell. My guess is that probably so it doesn't have quite as bad NVH. And the actual Dogbone itself is super heavy and well built. Like, that's got some weight to it, which I expect will provide a very solid mount. So here are all the parts to it. Now, time for the install. First thing Kyle takes out are the bolts that connect the downpipe support to the subframe. He then takes out the bolts that connect the sway bar to the subframe. After that, he removes the bolts from the Dogbone mount. Once all of the bolts are removed, he pops out the inserts as well as the Dogbone arm. He then proceeds to remove the rest of the bolts so that he can drop the subframe. If you are using an OEM mount or an entry-level upgraded Dogbone mount where you still have the OEM puck installed, you more than likely will not have to drop the subframe. If you are using a polyurethane replaced upgraded Dogbone like the East Coast Euro ones, you'll have to lower the subframe to get the top portion of the mount out. When installing the Unitronic Dogbone mount, make sure you put the black cap with the portion that sticks up on the top. The one that is recessed goes on the bottom. You install the top portion through the bottom of the subframe mount. When doing this, make sure you line up the holes on the front of that plastic piece and the polyurethane so the arm can stick through it. Once he had completed that, he reconnects the subframe with only a few bolts to lift it up into a better position. With the subframe slightly moved up, he finishes installing the top portion of the Unitronic mount. Once it is in and flush with the top portion of the subframe, he inserts the lower plastic piece of the mount as well. Once that was completed, he disconnected the arm from the old East Coast Euro mount and reconnects it to the new Unitronic arm. Then he proceeds to slide the new Unitronic arm into the polyurethane portion that has already been installed. Once the arm is inside, he installs the bottom piece of the poly with the black cap that is recessed into the bottom of the mount. He then very, very lightly secures the bolt. He installs the rest of the bolts on the Dogbone as well. He finally reconnects the subframe, putting in all the bolts he has previously removed. Once he's done that, he torques them all back to spec. Finally, we need to torque the Unitronic Dogbone mount. We found this quite odd, but the torque spec of that bolt is only 10 foot-pounds. We were told you can tighten it more, but the tighter you go, the more NVH you will feel. There we go, guys, all wrapped up here at Rider Performance. Another wonderful install by Kyle himself. Went pretty damn smooth. Time to take the car out on the road and see what it feels like. Well, guys, I've been out here driving the back roads for about 30 minutes now, driving some windy roads, up some hills and down some hills, so I can give you guys my first impression on this Unitronic street Dogbone mount. First thing I need to make you guys aware of is I do have Stage 2 Black Forest Industries engine and transmission mounts. Those greatly increase the amount of NVH I have in the car. For those that are not familiar with that, NVH stands for noise, vibration, and harshness. Usually felt through your steering wheel, through the seat, and through the pedals of your car. Mine are automatically increased because of those mounts. But what I'm instantly noticing is it has been greatly reduced with this street Dogbone mount from Unitronic. The first thing I notice in direct comparison to that East Coast Euro's track mount is on deceleration, especially going down a hill. There used to be a ton of vibration through the steering wheel, through the pedals, through the seat, everywhere. When I honestly first installed that East Coast Euro's mount and I went racing back in 2018, I honestly thought the car was broken at first because it was so stiff. I got used to it after some time, but it's instantly been removed now that I've downgraded to this street mount. It still feels very secure, very tight, very locked down, but not nearly as much aggressive NVH as I felt on that East Coast Euro track Dogbone mount. The other thing I notice is the comfort of my car has drastically increased. As much as it was such a performance-driven mount, that East Coast Euro one, it was very stiff, and you've got to be a hardcore enthusiast like myself to want to use a mount like this. The comfort level has drastically increased on this street mount from Unitronic. It is a lot more comfortable. It doesn't feel like your teeth are gonna rattle out of your skull. It is a lot more comfortable feeling, but not to the point where you're losing performance. It's a great feeling compromise in between too stiff and not stiff enough. It is just about right. When I say just about right, that's probably because I have this engine and transmission mount installed. It's impossible for me to say exactly that without those mounts installed that this would be bang on. I'd love to say that, but I'd be lying if I was, because I don't have OEM mounts. Mine are upgraded. I feel like if you took those out of the equation, the amount of NVH would be very minimal, just to the point where you know you have something installed and you're getting a benefit in performance but not so much that it's annoying on your daily drive. There's gonna be some, I would imagine, like minimal. Again, I'm guessing at this because I have those upgraded mounts, but I feel like it would be a very, very nice mount looking for performance, but not at the sacrifice of a ton of NVH. The only downside, guys, is I won't really be able to tell you guys how much drivetrain slop there is, if any, with these mounts right now. We just installed the brand new TTE 855 hybrid turbo from the turbo engineers, and I'm still awaiting on a tune from Unitronic for it, so I can't really be romping on it and going through the gears to see how much movement there is. I can't get it on a dyno quite yet to see if there's any movement visibly that we can see. But I have to imagine with the driving impressions of going up and down the hills and the windy roads and stuff, it's gonna be secure, but it's not gonna be overly secure to the point of causing a ton of NVH. So my last point, guys, is it worth it or is it not worth it? Frankly, it's improved the drivability of my car. It feels much more at ease. It doesn't feel so crazy with everything vibrating all the time, which is a great improvement. There is still a bit of NVH because of those mounts, but not nearly as much, which is greatly appreciated for the normal person that's going to be using their car, their RS3, their TTRS, that just wants slightly better performance, not as much drivetrain slop, and a more secure feeling car as you're banging through the gears. I would imagine this is going to be the sweet spot for a lot of owners out there and give them exactly what they want. So stay tuned to the channel, guys. Make sure you pay attention to when Unitronic drops their race mount, and we'll be upgrading to that mount as soon as it's available. We'll install it, I'll get back out here, and hopefully by that time, we'll have the tune sorted for my 855 turbo. Then I'll be able to romp on it, I'll be able to give it hell, and see if the drivability is still there, but still not with quite as much insane NVH as I had with that East Coast Euro Dogbone track mount. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, guys, take care.